This is a 2015 Mazda CX-5 Sport, and so it's got about 125,000 miles. You can look in the video description for links to tools and products. They're on Amazon. All right, so I'm making little separate videos on all these jobs I did, but I originally did them mixed in with a bunch of other work, and I'll put a link to the long video in the video description. All right, so the first thing we need to do before we figure out how to jack up the vehicle and everything is, while the weight of the car is on the ground, we want to loosen all the lug nuts, because it's very hard to do when the car is lifted. So you're going to need some sort of a socket set that's made for lug nuts, because they're typically deeper. So this one particular vehicle takes a 21 millimeter socket, and then it comes with something like this. So this goes in one end, and then this is a extendable ratchet that'll go in that way, so I can extend it out to get more torque. And so all I'm doing, I'm just breaking them free. So I'm just kind of cracking them open like that, so that when we decide we're ready to rotate tires, it's easy for me. And then what I do is I usually go in a counterclockwise and skip every other one. So that's just kind of how I do it. So now we're just gonna go around the rest of the car and do that on all four wheels. And then our next step after that will be to get the car off the ground on jack stands. So the tire rotation on this vehicle is that the front tires go to the back on the same side, so this will end up here. And then the back tires go to the front on the opposite side. And that's why, even though it's a real pain, it's why the only real right way to do this stuff is to put your car on all four jack stands. So you can't just jack up one side at a time, because you got to crisscross the back to the front. So we're going to go ahead and remove this wheel. We're going to get our floor jack where it's supposed to be, and then I'm going to proceed to inspect the tires, make sure they're all good, and I'm going to go ahead and roll them over to their new position, but leave them off of the vehicle so that we can get better camera shots under the car with the wheels out of the way and all that. So they're already loose. Let's see. Put my lug nuts by my jack stands to keep track of it. Kind of looking it over, got some real tiny rocks, but nothing big. I might pull that one out with a screwdriver. I picked some of the larger ones out with a screwdriver. Just kind of inspect, make sure it doesn't have any bubbles. If it has any bubbles, that means it's dangerous, needs to be probably replaced. So while I have them off, I might do some cleaning on these things as well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put our floor jack back. Okay, this step is optional, but when I go to the trouble of taking the wheels off, I use some brake parts cleaner, and I just spray the brakes just to kind of get this whole area clean. And this stuff just evaporates, and then so it doesn't take that long to dry. But this is where your lug nuts go on. This is called your hub. And sometimes, occasionally, see, it's already almost dry. Occasionally you can have a wheel stick to the hub right here. And so what I like to do when I get a car, I only have to do this one time. in the life of the car is get some of this copper anti-seize brake lube, and it's got a brush in there, and we're gonna brush it in between. You can tell where the wheel is contacting the hub by the shape right here, and we're just gonna paint some of that on in there like that. And then what that'll do for the life of the vehicle, it'll keep that wheel from sticking to the hubs. Okay, you're definitely gonna want some disposable gloves on for this stuff because this stuff is nasty. I'm also gonna grab a rag. It's not the type of stuff that's probably gonna come off of anything it touches, so it's not the easiest thing to work with. It's pretty messy. Again, links to all this stuff will be in the description of the video. Everything that I use. So we just want to kind of get rid of this glob that's on there right now by kind of spreading it out. And I want to stay away from my bolts. I don't want to get it on my threads. So basically I'm just getting it in the general region in between the threads to give it enough that over time it's not going to allow that wheel to stick to the hub. I've always done this and never had a wheel stick to the hub. And then about a month ago, a neighbor asked me to help him change a flat tire. And for the first time in my life, I found a wheel that was stuck to a hub. And it was a real pain. We had to beat the wheel with a rubber mallet to get it to loosen up. So you saw that I dripped some on that box. That's why I had that cardboard down. This stuff's a mess, so always have something underneath. All right, so with the car lifted up, we're gonna continue our tire rotation. We're gonna just put the wheel on there snug. Always want to hand tighten these bolts at the beginning. Try to start one and then kind of go every other. Usually try to get 3 or 4 turns on there. Okay. Now we're not torquing them down in the air. We're just snugging it up. So we're just gonna kind of slowly get these on there. Enough so that when we end up setting the car down, that it's got enough snugness to not hurt anything. When we get all 4 of them on, and then once it's on the ground, then we come back with our torque wrench and torque the lug nuts down to the desired torque, which I'll share with you when we do that step. So remember, one job that we had in progress that we're waiting to finish until this step was the torquing of the lug nuts on my wheels. So on again, Mazda gives a range on the lug nuts. They give a torque lug nut range of 80 to 108 pound-feet of torque. That's a large range. That's a 28 pound-feet range. So I went right in the middle at 94 pound-feet. So that's what we're doing, right in the middle of their range. So we're gonna just do this in the star pattern. So I go till it clicks. Okay. All right, that's this wheel. Same thing on all 4 wheels. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and that will conclude our tire rotation because we already inflated ours to 34 psi. If you wonder about your model, all vehicles have this inside the door. There's this sticker right here. So on this sticker it'll say front tire 34 psi, rear tire 34 psi, spare tire 60 psi. I always recommend going by this. Never go by what's on your tire. It'll be way too high. So I always go by the door, and that's what's recommended by the manufacturer. So anyway, we're going to finish these 3 and we'll be done with the tire rotation.